Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we'll be going over the 5 things that I don't exactly like about the new Honda Civic. First and foremost though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So the first thing is the CVT. Now, I know it might seem like I'm on a crusade to destroy all CVTs with these videos, but I'm just not a fan of the transmission for a number of reasons. Now, this is a pretty solid unit from a CVT perspective. It's not too annoying in terms of the transition points and everything, but it's still a CVT. And so if something happens, you have to replace the whole transmission, which is super annoying. And then on top of that, it's just not as refined as an automatic. And here's the thing is they have a really good automatic transmission in the Honda Accord. It's a 10-speed. They should throw it in the Civic. I understand that CVTs can help cars like this get better fuel economy and it can help keep the cost down. I understand that. But I mean, I'm just hoping in the future that we just get rid of CVTs altogether, because other than being good at fuel economy, you know, getting good fuel economy with the car, they're pretty much bad at everything else from a transmission perspective in terms of reliability and in terms of how it feels from a driving perspective. And so, yeah, just not a fan. Now, number 2 is the space. Now, before I dive into this point, something else I want to mention with the last point is Honda does offer a manual transmission with the new Civic, so that gets around the whole CVT thing. Anyways, getting into the space factor, front seat space I think is fine. You know, I think that even larger people would fit in this car pretty comfortably. Back seat space is pretty good considering the segment, and then trunk space as well. But this is kind of like a problem with this segment is this is a great car if it's just like you and one other person. But if it's you and like several other people, maybe you have like a family and stuff like that, you probably have to get something bigger than this. And so there is definitely more limited application, but I think that's why Honda's targeting millennials and Gen Zers, because they're not having kids like the generations before them. And so something like this works out perfectly fine for the people that they're targeting. But yeah, it definitely, especially like I imagine people in the backseat in a long road trip, feel a little bit cramped. Number 3 is that this car is not exactly fun. Now, this is kind of interesting with the route that Honda has gone with their cars, because Honda used to be all about like performance and fun, and the new Civic isn't exactly that in a lot of the packages. So the base package with the CVT and the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder is like not exciting whatsoever to drive. Like, it's smooth and it's comfortable, it's a great daily driver, but it's not fun. And then this with a turbocharged engine amps things up a little bit, but it still has a CVT, and it still doesn't feel as like playful as the previous generation Civic. That being said, once you throw in a manual transmission, this car is pretty exciting to drive, especially the SI. I got a chance to drive one, luckily enough, and really, really fun car. But that's only one package on the Civic that's actually pretty hard to get in today's market. And I don't think the SI is going to work for, you know, it's going to work for some people, but it's not going to work for everyone that's looking at a Civic. And so, yeah, it's just, it's crazy to see how Honda's departed from the performance side of things to now they're like chasing luxury stuff. I think that honestly, like, this is just my opinion, I think Honda would do better if they just kept on going with the performance side of things. And so, you know, maybe amp things up with the engine a little bit, maybe spend a little bit more time with the transmission, get rid of a CVT, go, like I said in the prior point, do an automatic that's super engaging and fun to drive. I think that's the route to go, but just my opinion. Now, number 4 is lack of features. Now, there are certain things that I think this car should have, being the touring package that it frankly doesn't have. So first off, maybe heated seats in the back. A lot of modern cars have that. Vents as well. Doesn't have those for the rear passengers. And then this has heated seats for the front. As you get, well, it's on the screen, but it has heated seats for the front, trust me. But it doesn't have cooled seats. And, you know, if you get the Accord Touring, you have cooled seats for the front. And so again, this being the high-end package on the Civic, I think should have those features. And so, yeah, it's just a little bit disappointing that it doesn't have everything you think it would have as the, you know, quote-unquote luxury Civic. It's not a huge deal, but at the same time, it would be nice. And also maybe a panoramic sunroof. Some of the competition now will offer panoramic sunroofs even on like small cars, and so, you know, just a couple things that Honda could potentially add. Number 5 is the fact this doesn't have all-wheel drive. Now, believe it or not, my complaint about this not having all-wheel drive has nothing to do with the driving dynamics, because Honda is amazing at engineering front-wheel drive cars from a driving dynamics perspective. They've proven that with the last generation Civic Type R, and this, frankly, even though it's front-wheel drive, from a driving dynamics perspective, it drives really, really well. Like, you don't notice it's front-wheel drive, and it doesn't feel horrible. That being said, though, a lot of the competition offers all-wheel drive with cars in this segment. A really good example is with the Mazda 3, right? And people are just eating up the new, especially the new Mazda 3 hatchback turbo, right? Because it's all-wheel drive, it's got a fun engine, and yeah, it's just an amazing car. And so like Honda, please just do all-wheel drive. Trust me, like there's so many people that just, they want that. Like I get that there's a large market for the front-wheel drive version of this car, but you know, I live in Utah, for example, where there's snow like half the year, and so all-wheel drive is pretty much a must-have in this state if you want to be able to drive 365 days a year with no problems whatsoever, no stress, right? You want to have all-wheel drive. Obviously, snow tires play a big part as well, but I think that Honda should do that, and I think that, you know, with their higher end packages on the Civic, right, they can make them sporty, right? There should, you know, obviously they're going to do the new Civic Type R, but that'll probably be front wheel drive still, but maybe they should do an all wheel drive version, because I mean, look at the new GR Corolla, for example. That thing, people are just like going crazy over it, and it's not like it's that insane from a performance perspective. It has 300 horsepower. The Ford Focus RS that was discontinued years ago has 350 horsepower, so it's not like Toyota's pushed things up all that much from a performance perspective, but there's just a lot of demand for, you know, all-wheel drive, lightweight, turbocharged cars, and so Honda, I think you should get in on it. That's going to sum things up for the 5 things that I don't exactly like about the new Honda Civic, and with that being said, I'll see all of you in that next video.